I want you to try a little experiment with me right now. It's a mental audit. But if you're new to your phone or computer, you can, actually do it physically.
Yeah.
I want you to think about how you access the internet. Not the device you use, but the keys you use to open the doors.
The keys to the kingdom, so to speak.
Exactly. Think about the last 5 apps or services you signed into. Maybe it was Spotify to listen to this, or Airbnb to book a trip, maybe just a news site. How many of those times did you actually type in a unique username and password?
And how many times did you just click that button?
That convenient little button that says log in with Google, log in with Facebook, or log in with Microsoft.
If we look at the data, for most people, it's the button. It's become ubiquitous. It is the path of absolute least resistance.
It is. It's so easy. I do it all the time. But I was looking at my own digital habits while prepping for this deep dive, and I had this sudden, cold realization. It was almost a panic. I realized that my entire digital existence is built on a foundation of sand. Because if I lose access to my Google account, let's say I get hacked, or a bot flags me for suspicious activity and locks me out, I don't just lose my email.
No, it's the domino effect.
It's a catastrophe. I lose my access to Spotify. I lose my Airbnb history and ability to book. I might lose access to professional tools like Notion or Figma if I use that login.
Yeah.
My photos, my memories, my connections. Everything is tied to this one master key that I don't actually own.
You've just hit on the fundamental problem of what we call Web 2. You described it as a foundation of sand, but there's a term in the research that I think fits even better. It's an economic term from history.
Yeah.
Digital sharecropping.
Sharecropping. That is a heavy word. It implies a very specific power dynamic.
It does, and it fits perfectly. Think about what a sharecropper does. They live on land that belongs to someone else. They work the fields day in and day out. In our case, working the fields means creating content, uploading photos to Instagram, writing tweets, building a network of friends. You are generating value. But you don't own the farm. You don't own the land. You are just renting the right to be there.
And the landlord can evict you at any time.
Without notice. If Facebook decides to ban your account, or if Twitter, now X, decides to suspend you, what happens? You lose the land.
And all the work you put in?
More importantly, you lose the crops. You lose your followers, your reputation, your entire history. You are evicted with nothing but the clothes on your back, digitally speaking. You start from zero.
That is the nightmare scenario. And that's really the hook for today's deep dive. We are looking at a stack of sources, articles, technical papers, protocols that argue there is a way out of this arrangement.
A way out of being the tenant.
We're talking about a shift from Web 2, where you are the product and the tenant, to Web 3, where you are the owner.
The mission of this deep dive is to explore a different version of the internet, a version where you don't have 50 different logins and you don't rely on a tech giant to verify who you are.
Okay.
We're exploring a world where you have a single identity, let's say alex.eth, and that identity lives on a blockchain, not on a Silicon Valley server.
We have a lot to unpack today, and some of it gets technical, but the implications are deeply personal. We're going to talk about replacing passwords with wallets, which sounds scary, but might actually be easier.
It sounds intimidating, but it's not.
We're also going to discuss the portable social graph, which is a fancy way of saying you can take your friends with you when you leave an app.
That's a game changer. And we'll get into decentralized identifiers, or DDs. We're also going to look at the new ways we can prove who we are, from soul-bound tokens to the very controversial WorldCoin project.
Oh yes, the orb. We have to talk about the orb.
We definitely do. But ultimately, this isn't just a tech talk. This is a conversation about sovereignty. It's about owning the self in a digital age where right now we are mostly just renting ourselves.
So let's start at the absolute foundation. If we are going to own our identity, the first thing we need is a name.
A human name.
In the physical world, I have a name on a birth certificate. In the crypto world, historically, names haven't been quite so human.
No, they've been robot readable, not human readable. This is what we call the address problem.
I know this pain well. I think anyone who's touched crypto knows this pain.
Anyone who has ever set up a crypto wallet knows this pain. When you create an identity on a blockchain like Ethereum, you aren't assigned a name. You are assigned a public key. It's a string of hexadecimal characters. It looks like 0x71, C765, and then just 40 random numbers and letters.
Just hearing you say that gives me a little spike of anxiety. I can't tell you how many times I've had to send a transaction, maybe moving some funds from an exchange to my wallet, and I am sweating. I am sitting there staring at this string of gibberish, triple checking every single character. Is that a 0 or a capital O? Is that an 8 or a B?
And that anxiety is justified because in this system, there is no undo button. There's no customer support hotline at Bitcoin HQ. If you change one character in that string, you aren't sending money to the wrong person who might be nice enough to send it back.
No.
You are sending it into a black hole. It creates a mathematical address that no one owns, and the funds are burned. Gone forever.
It's a usability nightmare. You can't build a mainstream internet on that.
You really can't. It reminds me of the very early days of the internet, before the web as we know it.
How so?
Well, computers talk in numbers. They talk in IP addresses. Back in the day, if you wanted to visit a website, you theoretically needed to know its IP address. Imagine trying to tell your friend, hey, check out this cool new search engine. Just go to 142.250.190.46.
Nobody is going to remember that. It's impossible.
Humans aren't built for that. We are built for semantic meaning. We need stories. We need names. So engineers invented DNS, the domain name system.
Right.
That's the phone book that translates 142.250 into google.com. It maps the machine code to human language.
And so for the blockchain, the solution is the Ethereum Name Service, or ENS.
Precisely. ENS is the DNS of the Web3 world. It maps that terrifying, anxiety-inducing string of hex characters to a simple, readable name, like your name.eth.
So mechanically, how does this work? Is it just a nickname, like saving a contact in my phone? Is it that simple?
It's much more robust than a contact list. When you register an ENS name, you are actually buying an NFT and fungible token.
Okay, so you own it.
You own that name. It sits in your wallet as an asset. And then you set a record on the blockchain. You're basically telling the global ledger. From now on, anyone looking for hostspeaker.eth should be directed to this specific wallet address.
The practical utility here is immediate. I mean, it's
Right.
obvious. If I want you to send me some Ethereum to pay for lunch, I don't have to copy-paste a hex code and text it to you.
No more screenshots.
I just say, send it to hostspeaker.eth.
And my wallet software looks that up on the blockchain, verifies the address, and executes the transaction. It changes the user experience from terrifying to something that feels like Venmo or PayPal. It feels safe.
But the sources we looked at emphasize that this goes way beyond just payments. We shouldn't think of this as just a bank account number. This is evolving into a universal profile.
Right. This is where the identity part really kicks in. Think about the friction of the current internet. Every time you join a new platform, say a new social network comes out, what do you have to do?
I have to sign up. I have to upload my photo again. I have to write my bio again. I have to find all my friends again. It's a whole process.
It's redundant. It's fragmented. You have a LinkedIn identity, a Twitter identity, an Instagram identity. They don't talk to each other. They're all in silos.
Right.
With ENS, the idea is that you set your record once. You attach your avatar, your bio, your website links to your ENS name on the blockchain.
Okay, so it's all in one place.
Now, when you log into a Web3 application, whether it's a marketplace like OpenSea or a decentralized social app, that app simply looks at your ENS name. It pulls your avatar, it pulls your bio. You don't create a profile, you bring your profile with you.
I love that framing.
Yeah.
It feels much more like the physical world. When I walk into a coffee shop, I don't have to fill out a form telling the barista what my face looks like or what my name is. I just bring me into the room.
Exactly. You are the constant. The apps are just places you visit. Your identity precedes the application.
Now, there's a corporate angle to this that I found really interesting.
Yeah.
The sources talk about subdomains and trust hierarchies. This seems like a big deal for verifying who is who.
It's massive for verification. So just like in the traditional web where Google owns google.com and can create mail.google.com or maps.google.com,
They control the root.
an ENS owner can create subnames.
So if a company owns the master name,
Exactly. Let's look at Coinbase, the big crypto exchange. They integrated this. They own the DNS domain cb.id. They issued subnames to millions of their users. So you might be alex.cb.id.
okay, that makes sense.
But let's take it a step further to a hypothetical that really illustrates the power. Imagine Apple enters the space.
Okay, so Apple buys apple.eth. That's a valuable one.
Right. Now imagine you get an email or a message from someone claiming to be Tim Cook. In today's world, how do you know it's him? You look at the email address, maybe you check for a blue check mark, but those can be spoofed or bought.
It's hard to be 100% sure. There's always that doubt.
In this Web3 future, Apple could issue the subdomain tim.apple.eth to their CEO. Because the blockchain is transparent, you can verify the chain of custody. You can see mathematically that tim.apple.eth was issued by the owner of apple.eth.
So it creates an instant, unforgeable chain of trust. There's no faking it.
Exactly. If the message doesn't come from a verified subdomain, you know it's a fake. It solves phishing in a very structural way. You verify the root and you trust the branches.
So we've got the username sorted. We're no longer numbers, we're names. But we still have the problem of actually getting into the apps. We touched on this in the intro, the login with Google vulnerability.
Right, the front door.
The sources talk about a new standard called Sign In with Ethereum, or SEDE.
SIWE.
To the average user, simply clicking a button that says Sign In feels the same, whether it's Google or Ethereum.
Yeah.
But the sources argue that under the hood, this is a complete paradigm shift in security. How is this fundamentally different from me typing in my password?
It comes down to the difference between a shared secret and cryptographic proof.
Okay.
Let's look at the Web2 model, the password model. When you create an account, you make up a password. That is a secret. You tell that secret to the server saves it in a database.
Hopefully encrypted, but yes.
Hopefully. But functionally, you have both agreed on the secret word. Every time you log in, you are essentially shouting that secret across the internet to the server. The server checks its list and says, okay, that matches what I have. Come on in.
But we know the flaws here. I mean, we live them every day.
The flaws are catastrophic. First, users are bad at secrets. They use password 123 or they reuse the same password for their bank and their funny cat video site. We all do it.
Guilty.
Second, and worse, the server is a target. It's a fortress holding millions of secrets. If hackers breach that fortress, think Equifax, think Yahoo, they steal everyone's keys.
So Sign In with Ethereum changes this how?
It changes it because there is no shared secret. In Web3, you have a private key. This is a cryptographic code that lives inside your wallet. And here is the golden rule. The private key never leaves your device. You never send it to the server. You never send it to anyone.
So if I don't send the key, how does the website know it's me? Walk me through the experience. I go to a website, say a decentralized blogging platform. I see the button. I click Connect Wallet. What happens next?
The website sends a challenge to your wallet. It's literally a text message that says something like, I am asking the user with address 0 by 123 to sign this message to prove they are the owner. Current time. 12:00 p.m. It's just a string of text.
And my wallet pops up on my screen. I've seen this.
Right. Your wallet shows you the message and asks, do you want to sign this? When you click sign, your wallet uses your private key to perform a mathematical calculation on that message. It creates a signature.
Okay, so it's a unique code for that specific request.
Yes. And it sends that signature back to the website.
But not the key.
Never the key, just the signature. The website then takes your public key, which is visible to everyone, and uses it to verify the signature. It's complex math, but essentially, the public key can prove that the signature was created by the private key without ever seeing the private key.
It's fascinating. It's like proving I have the keys to a house by walking up and unlocking the door while you watch, rather than me cutting you a copy of the key and handing it to you.
That is the perfect analogy. You demonstrate ownership. You don't transfer authority.
And the benefits here seem pretty stark for the user. I mean, this feels safer already.
They are massive. For one, you can't forget your password because the wallet manages the signature process. There are no passwords to reuse. And from a privacy standpoint, think about data minimization.
Right. What am I actually giving them?
When you log in with Facebook, Facebook sends that app your name, your email, maybe your friend list, maybe your location data, a whole package of you.
You're a fire hose of my data.
When you sign in with Ethereum, what does the website get? They get your address. That's it. They don't get your email, your phone number, or your real name unless you specifically choose to type it in.
It flips the power dynamic. Instead of the server demanding my data to let me in, I hold the keys and I grant them temporary access.
You store the credentials, not the server. That is the core of self-sovereign identity. You are the bank. You are the identity provider.
Okay, so we've established the foundation. We have a name, ENS, and we have a secure way to log in, SIWE. Now let's talk about what we actually do online. For most people, the internet is social media. It's the town square.
It is. It's where we live our lives.
But the sources describe our current platforms, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, as walled gardens. And they argue this is bad for users. Why?
Because of platform lock-in. These platforms are incredibly sticky, but not necessarily because they are the best products. They are sticky because they hold your social graph hostage.
The social graph being my connections.
Right. who you follow, who follows you. Think about it. If you have spent 10 years building a following on Twitter, you have put in labor. You have built an asset.
Yeah, a valuable one in some cases.
But if you decide you hate Twitter's new policies, or you don't like the algorithm, or you just want a fresh start on a competitor, you can't really leave.
I mean, I can leave, but I leave naked.
Exactly. You leave and you start at zero. You lose your audience, you lose your network. This stifles competition. Why would a developer build a better Twitter if they know that no one can bring their friends with them?
The network effect.
It acts as a moat that protects the incumbents, even if their product gets worse.
It's like if you moved to a new city and the law required you to forget everyone you ever knew in your old city. You have to start your contact list from scratch.
That's a great way to put it. And the Web3 solution, the open protocol model used by things like Lens Protocol or Farcaster, completely breaks this wall.
Lens is on the Polygon network and Farcaster's on Optimism, right?
Correct. But the technical details matter less than the core concept. They separate the database from the interface.
Unpack that for us. What does that mean in plain English?
Currently, Twitter owns the database, your tweets and follows,
Yep.
and they own the interface, the app you use. They control everything, end to end. In Web3, the social graph, the database, is stored on the blockchain or a decentralized network. It is public infrastructure, like the power grid or email. Anyone can plug into it.
So visualize this for me. How does this look for the user?
Okay, imagine your followers are an asset in your digital backpack, your wallet. Let's say you connect to App A, which is a Twitter clone. You see your 500 followers there. You post, you interact.
Sounds normal so far.
But then App A gets bought out by a billionaire you don't like, or they start flooding your feed with spammy ads.
Normally I'd be stuck. I'd complain, but I'd stay.
In Web 2, yes. In Web 3, you just disconnect your wallet. You walk away. You go to App B, which is a different app built by a totally different team. You connect your wallet. Boom, your 500 followers are already there.
Because App B is reading the same public data as App A.
Exactly. The data is shared. The interfaces compete.
That is a wild shift. It forces the apps to compete on user experience, on their algorithms, on their features, not on holding my data hostage.
It creates a true free market for social media. If you want an algorithm that only shows you happy news, someone can build that interface. If you want a raw chronological feed, someone can build that. And you can switch between them day to day without losing your community.
There's another angle to this that the sources highlight, which is censorship resistance. This is always a controversial topic.
It is, and it's nuanced. In the current model, censorship is global. If a platform bans you, you are silenced completely on that network. You're deplatformed.
Right.
But with protocols like Farcaster or Lens, there is a distinction between global and local silencing.
How does that work?
App A is a private business. They can decide they don't like your content. Maybe you're posting things that violate their specific community guidelines. They can hide your posts on their interface. That is their right.
Okay, so they can moderate their own front end.
But, and this is the key, they cannot delete your data from the blockchain.
They can't burn the book. They can just take it off their shelf.
Exactly. They cannot prevent App B from displaying your content. They cannot prevent a user from querying the blockchain directly to find what you said.
So I can be silenced locally by a specific interface, but not globally by the protocol itself.
Correct. As long as there is one interface willing to show your content, your voice exists. It prevents the digital eviction we talked about at the start. It guarantees that you own your speech, even if a specific platform doesn't want to host it.
This moves us nicely into the next layer of identity. We've talked about names, logins, and friends, but identity is also about reputation. It's about credentials. It's about what you've achieved.
Right, the stuff that makes you, you.
The sources bring up this really poetic term, soulbound tokens or SBTs.
It's a term borrowed from gaming, specifically World of Warcraft.
I love that the future of finance is being named by gamers.
It really is. Yeah. In World of Warcraft, you have items you can trade, swords, gold. But the most powerful items, the ones that prove you defeated a specific boss or completed a grand quest, are soulbound. Once you pick them up, they belong to your character forever. You cannot sell them. You cannot give them away. They are part of your character's story.
And in crypto, usually the whole point is that you can trade things. Yeah. I can sell my Bitcoin. I can sell my Bored Ape NFT. But SBTs are NFTs that cannot be transferred.
Right. Because for identity, transferability is a bug, not a feature. Mm-hmm. If I have a degree from Harvard, that degree is tied to the fact that I did the work. If I could sell that degree to you as an NFT and suddenly you own a Harvard degree, Well, the whole credential system collapses.
The values in the binding.
Exactly. The token needs to stick to your soul, or in this case, your identity wallet.
The education use case seems the most obvious. It's the one everyone jumps to.
It's the easiest to visualize. Imagine if universities issued degrees as SBTs. When you apply for a job, you don't need to send a scanned PDF of your diploma. You don't need the employer to call the registrar's office and wait 3 weeks for verification.
Right, which is what happens now.
The employer just looks at your wallet address on the blockchain. They see the Harvard degree token. They can click on it and see it was issued by harvard.eth, verified instantly.
It kills the fake degree market overnight.
Completely. But where it gets really interesting, especially for our finance-savvy listeners, is in DeFi, decentralized finance.
Right.
The sources talk about the credit score problem.
Can you explain why DeFi needs this? What's the problem?
Currently, DeFi is trustless. That sounds good, but it's actually inefficient. If you want to borrow money on a protocol like Aave, you have to over-collateralize.
Meaning you put up more than you borrow.
A lot more. If you want to borrow $100, you might need to deposit $150 in Bitcoin as insurance.
Because the protocol doesn't know who I am. It doesn't know if I'm good for the money. I'm just a random hex string.
Precisely. It assumes you will default, so it demands 150% insurance. But in the traditional world, we have credit scores. I can get a credit card or a mortgage with very little down payment because the bank knows my history. They trust my reputation.
So SBTs allow us to build that reputation on-chain.
Yes. Imagine if every time you paid back a DeFi loan on time, the protocol issued you a good borrower, SBT. Over time, you build a collection of these. You build a history.
This wallet has paid back 10 loans on time in the last 2 years.
Exactly. Now, other protocols can read that history. They can say, okay, host speaker.eth has a great track record. We will let him borrow with only 20% collateral. It unlocks capital efficiency.
That feels like the missing link for crypto to actually compete with traditional banking.
It is. It's the bridge between anonymous finance and reputation-based finance.
There's a third use case mentioned here that bridges into our next topic, proof of humanity. Aggregating credentials to prove you aren't a bot.
Right. This is critical. Services like Gitcoin Passport use this. They look at your wallet and ask, does this wallet hold ETH? Does it have a Google account linked? Does it own an ENS name?
So it's a constellation of proofs.
It assigns you a trust score. If you have enough soulbound points, you are deemed human.
But relying on points is one way to prove humanity. There is another way, a much more physical way, and we have to talk about it.
The Chromosphere.
WorldCoin. We can't talk about Web3 identity without talking about WorldCoin.
Yeah.
This is the project co-founded by Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI. And the premise here is, well, it's intense.
The premise is driven by AI. Altman's argument is that AI is advancing so fast, OpenAI is driving this, so he knows that very soon it will be impossible to distinguish humans from bots online. Text, audio, even video deepfakes will be perfect.
So the I'm not a robot checkbox isn't going to cut it. The squiggly letters won't work.
Not even close. So they argue we need a proof of personhood that is absolute, something that cannot be faked by software.
And their solution is hardware, the orb.
The orb. It's a futuristic-looking chrome sphere that contains specialized cameras. It scans your iris. It takes that scan, uses it to generate a unique hash called an iris code, and issues you a world ID.
I have to say, the reaction to this has been polarized would be an understatement.
To put it mildly, it is the great debate of Web3 identity right now.
Let's look at this fairly. What is the argument for scanning everyone's eyeballs? Why would anyone do this?
The argument is Sybil resistance. A Sybil attack is where one person pretends to be 1,000 people to rig a vote, spam a network, or claim multiple shares of a giveaway.
Like scalpers buying up all the concert tickets.
Exactly. You can create 1,000 email addresses easily. You can create 1,000 crypto wallets in seconds. But you cannot create 1,000 irises. You only have 2.
Fair point.
If you want to distribute a universal basic income UBI globally, which is part of WorldCoin's goal, or have a truly fair one-person, one-vote democratic election online, you need to know that each person is unique. Biometrics is the most reliable way to solve that.
Okay, I see the utility. It solves the bot problem instantly. But the argument against it, it feels like a sci-fi dystopia.
It's the privacy nightmare. You have a private company scanning the biometrics of billions of people. Even if they claim to delete the images and only keep the code, you are trusting them with that data. The Black Mirror comparison is made constantly for a reason.
And there's a specific security risk here too, right? Unlike a password.
The immutability of biometrics. If your password gets leaked, you change your password. If your private key gets leaked, you move your funds to a new wallet.
Okay.
But if your iris hash gets leaked or hacked, you cannot change your eyes. You are compromised forever.
That is a terrifying thought. Once it's out, it's out.
It frames the philosophical tension perfectly. On one side, we have the social graph or web of trust model like Bitcoin, where you prove you're human by having friends and history. It's softer, messier.
Yeah.
On the other side, we have the biometric model WorldCoin, where you prove you're human by scanning your body. It's hard, absolute, but potentially invasive.
Do we trust our history or do we trust our biology? That's the question.
And do we trust a decentralized web of data or a centralized hardware provider?
Now, speaking of trust and privacy, there is a massive contradiction in everything we've discussed so far. We keep saying the blockchain is great because it's transparent. Everyone can see the ledger.
Right.
But if I put my medical history or my credit score or my ID on the blockchain and it's transparent, doesn't everyone see it? That seems like a terrible idea.
That is the transparency paradox. If your wallet becomes your identity, you don't necessarily want your landlord to see your medical records. You don't want a date to see your exact bank balance.
Definitely not.
This is where zero-knowledge proofs, or ZKPs, come in to save the day.
We've touched on ZKPs in previous deep dives, but let's apply it specifically to identity. The source uses a great analogy that I think clarifies this complex math. The bar and the bouncer.
It's the classic explanation. Think about how we verify age right now. You go to a bar, the bouncer stops you and asks for ID. You hand him your driver's license.
And he looks at it.
He looks at it, but think about what he sees. He only needs to verify one fact. Are you over 21? But your license reveals your full name, your exact home address, your exact date of birth, your height, your eye color.
Everything.
He sees everything just to answer one binary question.
It's total overkill. It's massive data exposure.
Exactly. Now, in a zero-knowledge system, it works differently. Imagine your wallet holds your credential, your digital ID. When the bouncer, or the website, asks, "Are you over 21?" your wallet runs a cryptographic calculation. It generates a proof.
And what does the bouncer see?
The bouncer sees a green check mark that says, verified, date of birth is before the year 2005.
Does he see my name?
No.
My address?
No, he doesn't even see your actual birthday. He doesn't know if you were 22 or 92. He only knows that the condition over 21 is true.
That is powerful. You're proving a fact without revealing the data that underpins that fact.
It is called selective disclosure. You can prove you are eligible for something, citizenship, accreditation, solvency, without revealing who you are. This is considered the holy grail of digital privacy. It allows us to have the benefits of a verifiable reputation without the downsides of a surveillance state.
It seems like the only way this public ledger system can actually work for real life. We need that curtain of privacy.
We absolutely do. Without ZKPs, the transparent blockchain is actually a privacy nightmare. With ZKPs, it becomes a privacy haven.
That's incredible technology. But, and there's always a but in these deep dives,
Yeah,
we have to do a reality check.
we do. We have to look at the State of the Union.
We've painted a picture of this seamless user-owned future. I have my name, my login, my portable friends, my private credentials. But if I go to the App Store right now, or if I try to onboard my mom onto this stack, are we there yet?
Honestly, no, not even close. It's messy.
What's the status of adoption? Where are we at?
It's niche. A Farcaster, specifically the client app Warpcast, is growing. It has a very passionate community, but it's still mostly crypto natives talking to other crypto natives. It hasn't broken out to the mainstream yet.
Right.
ENS is widely used, but a lot of people just buy the names to speculate on them. They're hoping to sell nike.eth for $1 million rather than using it for their daily identity.
And most people are still glued to Discord and Twitter due to the network effects. It's hard to leave the party where all your friends are, even if the house is burning down.
Exactly. But the biggest hurdle, the absolute biggest barrier to onboarding your mom is UX, user experience.
Specifically the danger we talked about earlier, self-custody.
Right. Managing a private key is difficult. We talked about sign-in with Ethereum and how great it is to be your own bank, but with great power comes great risk.
The risk being, if I lose the key, I lose the house.
Yes. In Web 2, if you forget your password, you click Forgot Password, you get an email, and you're back in 5 minutes. In Web 3, if you lose your private key, there is no help desk.
It's over.
Your money is gone, your username is gone, your followers are gone. You become a digital ghost.
That is a terrifying prospect for a normal person. I lose my car keys once a month. I can't risk losing my entire life because I misplaced a piece of paper or my hard drive crashed.
Which is why the industry is rushing toward a solution called account abstraction and social recovery.
Hmm.
This is the fix.
How does that work?
It allows you to program logic into your account. So instead of one key that rules them all, you can set up a guardian system. You can say, okay, if I lose my key, I designate my wife, my brother, and my lawyer as guardians.
Like a safety deposit box that requires multiple keys to open.
Exactly. You code it so that if 2 out of these 3 people sign a transaction, they can generate a new key for me.
That sounds much more human. It sounds like something people can actually use without being terrified.
It mimics how society actually works. We rely on our social network for support. Account abstraction makes self-custody safe enough for regular people who aren't cybersecurity experts.
So we're essentially waiting for these safety nets to be built and standardized before everyone can jump on the trapeze.
Ideally, yes. We are in the infrastructure phase. The rails are being laid, but the trains aren't running on time just yet.
All right, let's bring this all together. We've covered a massive stack today.
We have. It's a full ecosystem.
Let's summarize the stack we've built. We started with a username, that's ENS. It turns 0x71 into alex.eth.
Then the login, that's SIWE. No more passwords, just cryptographic signatures.
Then the social graph, Lens and Farcaster. The idea that your followers are assets that fit in your backpack and travel with you from app to app.
Then reputation, soulbound tokens, on-chain proof of who you are and what you've done, enabling things like under-collateralized loans.
And finally, the privacy layer. Zero knowledge proofs, proving you're human or eligible without showing your papers to everyone.
It is the blueprint for a digital self that is actually owned by the user.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave the listener with a thought that came up in the research. It's a bit of a provocation about where this is going. We're seeing the rise of AI agents, autonomous bots that can perform tasks.
Right. AutoGPT, agents that can browse the web, book flights for you.
If identity is based on a wallet address and an AI agent can hold a private key.
Then an AI agent can have an identity, it can have a reputation, it can have money.
Did an AI agent own an ENS name?
Theoretically, yes. Agent 007.eth.
Can it build a credit score?
If it executes trades successfully and pays back loans, yes. We might be building the infrastructure not just for human freedom, but for the economy of autonomous agents.
A machine-to-machine economy.
Where they recognize each other via these protocols.
That is wild. And on the flip side, in an age of deepfakes where video can be forged, cryptographically signed content from a verified identity might be the only way to know what is real.
Verify, don't trust. We are entering an era where seeing isn't believing anymore. Only signing is believing. Blockchain might become the anchor of truth in a world of AI-generated synthesis. It's a marriage of 2 massive technologies that could define the next decade.
That is heavy
And
and exciting. It makes the hex string stuff feel a lot more urgent.
it's the frontier.
Okay, for everyone listening who wants to dip their toes in without getting overwhelmed, what should they do?
Start simple. Go to ens.domains. Just search for your name, see if it's available. You don't even have to buy it, just look. It makes it real.
And maybe try out the social side.
Absolutely. Download a client like Warpcast. It's the easiest way to use Farcaster. It looks like Twitter, it feels like Twitter, but pay attention to the login. Notice that your account is tied to a wallet, not a phone number. Feel the difference.
And check your reputation.
Get Coin Passport. Go see what your trust score is.
Yeah.
It's a fascinating look at how the blockchain views you.
Own your data. Own your name. Own your future.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Thanks for listening to this deep dive. We'll catch you on the next one.